Listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you surprises almost everyone who struggles with nighttime knee or hip pain. Most people think the pain comes from old age, worn out joints, or just sleeping in the wrong position. But that's not the real story. In fact, the true trigger has nothing to do with age and everything to do with what happens inside your joints during the final few minutes before you fall asleep. Think about your own nights for a moment. Why is it that during the day, even if your knees or hips feel stiff, you can still move? You can walk, sit, stand, and get things done. But the moment you lie down at night, the pain suddenly feels sharper, deeper, harder to ignore. And when you try to turn in bed, it almost feels like the joint is fighting against you. There is a reason, and hardly anyone ever hears about it. When we stop moving before bedtime, the muscles around the knees and hips begin to cool down. And as they cool, they slowly tighten, almost like a rubber band shrinking in cold air. This tightening has a surprising effect. It thickens the joint fluid that should keep your cartilage cushioned. And when that fluid thickens, quiet begins to rise. Slowly, at first, quietly. You don't feel it happening until the pain shows up. That's why so many people wake up in the morning, feeling like their knees or hips locked up overnight. It's not age, it's stagnation. A simple lack of movement in a short window before sleep is enough to thicken the joint fluid and tighten the surrounding muscles. And here's something most people never realize. The pain doesn't come from moving. It comes from not moving. This is also why painkillers taken before bed often don't help. They can't fix the mechanical pressure that builds up inside the joint. But here's the good news, and it's important. If you release that pressure right before lying down, something incredible happens. The joint fluid thins, muscles soften, and the nerves inside the joint finally calm down. This is exactly why the 2-minute bedtime move works so quickly and so consistently. It targets the one thing silently sabotaging your sleep. And before I show you the move, you need to know what's really tightening your joints in the first place. And that's coming up next. Listen up, because the belief that knee and hip pain is simply part of aging is one of the biggest myths out there. And it silently steals years of comfort, mobility, and confidence from people who could be feeling much better. Here's the truth. The tight, burning, stabbing, or grinding sensation you feel usually isn't from worn down bones. It's not your age attacking you. It's something far more sneaky. Tiny muscles around the joints tightening over time. Think about this. If age alone caused joint pain, then every person over 60 would feel the same level of stiffness and struggle. But they don't. Some people the same age can climb stairs, garden, or walk with ease, while others feel pain just getting out of a chair. That difference isn't age, it's micro-tightness. Micro-tightness is simply this: hidden, deep muscles around the knee and hips, slowly becoming tight, like little cables pulling the joint slightly out of place. And this happens from decades of everyday habits: sitting, uneven walking, old injuries, stress, even the way we stand without noticing. Over time, these muscles pull the joint out of its natural alignment, a millimeter at a time. You won't feel the shift itself, but your nerves do. They start firing pain signals because the joint isn't gliding smoothly anymore. That's why some people say their pain comes and goes. Micro-tightness changes throughout the day depending on how you move. Here's a simple example. Your friend can garden for an hour, no problem, but you might feel sharp pain just getting up from the couch. Same age, same joints, different muscle tightness, not destiny. And here's the surprising part. Your brain often mistakes this tension for damage. It can feel like bone and bone, even when the real issue is tight muscles restricting movement. When movement is restricted, the joint fluid thickens, circulation slows, and inflammation rises, especially at night when the body becomes still. Combine that with the bedtime stagnation we just talked about, and you have the perfect recipe for nighttime pain. But the good news is powerful. Micro-tightness is highly fixable, and you don't fix it with force, heavy stretching, or anything painful. You fix it by gently resetting the stabilizing muscles around the joints. That's exactly what the 2-minute bedtime move is designed to do. But don't try it yet. There's a very specific order that makes it work, and that's exactly what we'll break down next. Most people expect this part to involve a hard stretch or a painful exercise, but the truth is the complete opposite. The 2-minute bedtime move works because it's gentle, because it's slow, and because it resets the muscles that tighten at night without ever forcing your joints. The secret isn't strength or flexibility. It's rhythm. And by rhythm, I simply mean a calm, steady, relaxed pace, almost like the gentle rocking of a chair. Once you move with that rhythm, joints respond surprisingly fast. Here's how to do it. Sit at the edge of your bed with your feet flat on the floor. Keep your spine relaxed and let your hands rest comfortably on your thighs. No posture tricks, no sucking in your stomach. Just sit naturally now for the movement. Start with your right leg and lift your heel only 1 or 2 inches off the floor. Hold it for a brief moment. Then let it drop back down softly. No force, no pushing, no trying to be flexible. Just a simple lift and a gentle release. Repeat this 8 to 10 times, then switch to the other leg. And if you feel a tiny click or a mild stiffness, don't worry, that's completely normal. Just keep the motion smooth and easy. This movement may look small, even too simple, but that's the power of it. That tiny lift wakes up the deep stabilizer muscles behind the knee and around the hip. The same muscles that become stiff and locked when we stop moving before bed. When you lift, they activate. When you release, they soften. And as they soften, joint pressure drops almost immediately at the same time. The gentle pumping motion spreads your joint fluid across the cartilage. Many people say they feel a warm, soothing sensation after just a minute. That's the fluid thinning and moving again. But here's where most people go wrong. They stop too early. To make this relief last the whole night, you need to reconnect the knee, hip, and ankle. Place both feet flat on the floor and make slow, lazy circles with your ankles, 5 circles in each direction. This tells the entire leg to shift from compression mode into recovery mode. But don't lie down yet, because the final step is what locks in the relief, so it lasts for hours. And that's exactly what we're about to reveal next. Listen closely, because this is the moment where everything finally clicks. Why a simple 2-minute routine can calm knee and hip pain so quickly, and why doing it right before bed multiplies its power. Most people believe their joints repair themselves throughout the day. But the real truth is this: your body only turns on its natural repair mode during the quiet hours of the night. That's when muscle tension drops, your breathing slows, and your nervous system shifts into a gentle, healing rhythm. Here's the catch. If your knees or hips are tight when you lie down, that healing mode doesn't fully switch on. Instead, your body becomes slightly stressed. It sends mild inflammation signals into your joints, the exact opposite of what you want while sleeping. But when you perform the bedtime movement, something remarkable takes place. The light pumping motion in slow circles increase circulation around the joint, loosen the thick synovial fluid, and open tiny channels that allow nutrients to reach worn-out cartilage. Think of it like clearing a blocked road just before the repair team arrives. Here's a secret. Almost nobody knows. Your joints behave differently at night. All day long, gravity compresses them. But when you lie down, the weight lifts and the joints naturally expand a little. This creates the perfect moment for fluid to flow in, pressure to drain out, and cartilage to begin its nightly repair cycle. However, this only works if the joint is relaxed beforehand. If it's stiff or tense, the fluid stays sluggish, the pressure remains trapped, and nerves stay irritated. That's why some people wake up with more stiffness than they had before falling asleep. When you combine heel lifts with gentle ankle circles, you send a message up to the brain that the leg muscles can release their grip. This is what flips the recovery switch. Your stabilizing muscles calm down. The joint gently decompresses, and nighttime inflammation finally starts to fade. Many seniors say they feel their knees or hips becoming lighter as they settle into bed. That's the recovery switch in action. But before you get the full benefit, you must avoid 3 common bedtime mistakes, and almost everyone makes at least one of them. That's exactly what we'll uncover next. Ears open, because this part is just as important as the 2-minute bedtime move itself. Many people do the routine perfectly. They feel their knees loosen, their hips relax, the pressure melt away, and then, without realizing it, they make one small bedtime mistake that tightens everything right back up. The first mistake happens the moment you lie down, pulling your legs too close to your chest. It feels cozy at first, but this curled up position shortens the hip flexors and bends the knees in a way that retightens the exact muscles you just released. The joint fluid slows down again, stiffness returns, and by morning the knees and hips feel heavy and tight. Most people blame age, but in reality, it's the position. The second mistake is extremely common, using a thick pillow under the knees. It seems like it should help, but elevating the knees too much tilts the hips and reduces healthy blood flow down the leg. Instead of letting inflammation drain out overnight, the body traps it. That's why some people wake up with knees that feel swollen, warm, or puffy, even though they didn't move much during the night. And then there's the third mistake, one that surprises almost everyone: stretching too aggressively before bed. People think a big stretch will loosen things up, but strong stretching actually activates the muscles around the hip and knee. Your body senses the tension and automatically tightens those muscles as a protective reflex. That shuts down your nighttime recovery response, and you wake up feeling stiffer than before. Now, for the good news. Avoiding these 3 simple mistakes makes the 2-minute bedtime move up to 3 times more effective. Instead of fighting against your joints all night, your body finally gets the chance to repair them. Your muscles stay relaxed, your joint fluid keeps moving, and inflammation has a chance to drain naturally. And once these bedtime mistakes are out of the way, something interesting begins to happen even within the first 24 hours. Your morning stiffness becomes less intense, your joints start responding faster, and the relief becomes more predictable each night. But the biggest change isn't what you feel during the exercise. It's what you feel when your feet hit the floor the next morning. And that's exactly what we're going to uncover in the final module. Ears open, because what happens in the first 24 hours is what finally proves to most people that their joints were never too old to improve. They simply needed the right kind of bedtime signal. Once you finish the 2-minute routine and settle into bed without curling up too tightly or stacking pillows under your knees, your joints shift into a state they almost never experience. During the day, low pressure, easier circulation, and relaxed muscles. This creates the perfect environment for overnight recovery. And this is why many people notice something surprising the very next morning. Not dramatic movie-style relief, but a gentle shift. A small but unmistakable change that tells you something inside the knee or hip finally released. For some, it's standing up from bed without bracing. For others, it's taking the first few steps without that familiar morning clamp around the joint. And for many, simply realizing, they didn't wake up dreading how their knees or hips would feel. These early improvements may seem small, but they matter. They are signs that the body actually used the night to repair instead of tensing up like it normally does. And here's the exciting part. The relief builds. Night 1 gives you a small shift. Night 2 builds on that shift. Night 3 adds even more. Each time you release joint pressure before sleep, you stop micro-tightness from rebuilding. And when tightness doesn't reset overnight, your joints finally get a chance to stay loose instead of tightening right back up. But the biggest change isn't just physical, It's emotional, for the first time in years. Some people wake up without fear. Fear of pain, fear of stiffness, fear of losing mobility. And once that fear starts to fade, confidence comes back. You begin moving a little more during the day because your joints don't feel locked or heavy. That extra movement boosts circulation, reduces inflammation, and makes each night's routine more effective than the one before it. This is why 24 hours are so important. They show that your joints can still respond, heal, and improve. And once you feel that first hint of morning relief, the question stops being, will this work? It becomes, how much better can this get if I keep going?